I gave myself a big surprise party for my 75th. If you don't think turning 75 isn't one big fucking surprise, just wait. I will no longer die young. One thing to cross off my anxiety list. Here I am, closer to dead than to alive, wondering what will be my last place on earth and what will take me out. Knowing that one day the last thing I say will be the last thing I said, and vice versa. The future closer to the present than it's ever been. If I don't start peeing before my pants are down, that's a good day. If I'm even thinking about peeing, it's already too late. My brand of adult pads is called Free to Pee, You and Me. Laugh as hard as you want, ladies. On the rag once again. On the road to total incontinence. Navigating loss and less on the rougher seas of older, my partner of 19 years died in 2017. Life after death is about those of us who remain. Death is a life-changing experience. In the last stages of his decline, I could judge my mental health by whether or not I engaged with telemarketers. One day it was a rage aria. I slammed down the phone on the last motherfucker piece of shit. The phone rang again. He was calling me back. Suck my cock! Suck my cock! I started seeing a grief counselor. I asked her about her group. I'm not sure they get you, she said. Get me? I asked. Well, you do curse a lot, she said. That's true. I do. I acknowledge. However, I'm civilized. I'm socialized. I don't tell anyone, go fuck yourself or fuck you unless they deserve it. I was always emotionally available. The problem was, which emotions? Game show idea, blameless. 5 people who never had children tell their stories. And then the audience votes for the person who made the best contribution by not passing along her emotional DNA. My point of sanity was in not having children, and the children I never had are grateful. A friend posted a photo of a group of us from the previous evening on Facebook. I look at the photo and I'm not in it. And then I see a woman wearing the same clothing I had been wearing. A holy fucking shit moment. The following day, I see my nephew and I ask him, when you look at me, do you see someone you recognize? Yes, he responds, looking at me blankly. Later, he emails that often he doesn't understand where I'm coming from. He will, just give him 30 years. I'm going to tell you the worst thing you can say to an older person. You've never looked better. Why do I even have a vagina? I asked my gynecologist. I don't know, she said. At this time of life, my vagina is more or less like a vestigial organ. I would like to trade it in for something more useful, like a larger bladder. When I was a child, I thought that old age was an affliction. I would see groups of old people sitting on chairs outside. They had their own particular smell. They looked shriveled. I would hold my breath when I passed them, not wanting to catch whatever it was that made them look that way. One day, perhaps, a very young child will hold her breath as she passes me. Mortality sightings on the rising. Existential terror. Have a great day. I need a psychopractor for daily attitude adjustments. I often hear people lamenting their imperfections. I strive for imperfection. It would be a major step up from being totally whacked. The 11-year-old daughter of a friend was visiting, and she told me that her parents think she's too young to have an iPhone. She then looked at me quizzically and said, "How old were you when you got your first iPhone?" 65, I replied. She looked stunned for a minute, and then we both got hysterical laughing. She hadn't realized there was a time before iPhones. Someone recently took a photograph of me with my phone and then immediately passed the phone to me. If that had not been the case, I would not have known who I was looking at. I have become the grandma doll. Wind her up, and she won't remember what she was going to say. Pretty soon you can feed her and change her diapers, and she'll fart all on her own. I find that my mind doesn't work in mysterious ways. Long-term memory is part of this time of life, and suddenly I remembered and now will share with you the story of my first blowjob. I was 13. He was 14. He loved it. Marijuana is the one addiction at which I draw the line. No way am I giving that up. Mind altering? You bet. Good idea. When I'm stoned, I don't get the munchies. I reserve domain names. My most recent is shitgoddammotherfucker.com. There's a song in there somewhere. My new practice is called mindlessness. I tried mindfulness, however. If you knew what my mind was full of, you wouldn't recommend it for me. If they did a printout of my thoughts, the thought police would arrest me. On a good day, I tread water in the think tank. My segues have become confidential. I could always keep a secret, and now I keep it from myself. I know that just because I don't remember something doesn't mean it didn't happen. And just because I remember doesn't mean it did. The certitude of the great uncertainty is more certain. I read, you can know you're in deep shit if you leave your car keys in the freezer. What about the sponge in the refrigerator? Does that count? Now when I can't find something, I start with the freezer so I can relax. I have some new names for bands of older. The dry vaginas, los impotentes, the post-sexuals, game of groans. I have discovered the cure for hypochondria. Live long enough and it all becomes real. Everything is as it never was. What happened to the burning bush that used to be between my legs? All I know is the bald eagle has landed. The hairs on my legs made off with my libido, and the hairs under my arms have migrated to my chin. My new bra size is 36 long. Horny comes, horny goes. The older I get, the faster my skin is separating from my bones. I realize that if I were to stand on my head, I would suffocate. However, if I could have stood on my head, my whole life would have been different. Musical chairs was always where it's at. 60 is the new 60. 77 is the new 77. We are the olders. I'll toke to that. At this very moment, all of us here are the oldest we have ever been.